What is up, everyone? Welcome to ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. It is Tuesday, April the 26th. We are 2 days away from the 2022 NFL Draft, which is why tonight I thought that we could have a fun kind of show in which we share our biggest gut feelings for the Cowboys 2022 NFL Draft. I'm excited about it. I have 3 of my own that involve the 24th overall pick, including what the Cowboys could like at wide receiver, what is the most likely pick for the Cowboys at 24th, and also what does a wipeout scenario look like for the team on Thursday in day 1 of the NFL Draft. Had a little bit of a hiccup there, at least with the internet, but seems like we are ready to go now. So do me a favor, smash the like button, share the stream. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, let your friends know about ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. We'll get this one started here officially. Shout out to some of you guys who are on the show. Shout out to Lumen. I appreciate your words a lot. Thank you for that opinion. I don't know if you're right, Lou, but I appreciate it. Toxic Tom, what is up? Samuel Rowe says Mo picked Taco. That's the rumor. How about Jerry Jones breaking out the jokes, saying that Taco was Stephen's pick and that Michael Parsons was Jerry's pick in a press conference? He did Stephen wrong. It was funny. I'm not going to lie. Some people took it way too seriously, talking on social media why this is exactly what's wrong with the Cowboys. No, it's not. It's a joke. Like, all right, let's criticize the Cowboys front office for a lot of reasons, but that right there got a laugh out of a lot of people. So shout out to Jerry Jones, I guess. That was a good joke at a moment that not a lot of people expected it. Michael says, I picked Parsons. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Drew Stephen under the whole bus. You know what's the funniest part of it? That Stephen doesn't really jump in and deny Jerry's version of events. He just says, it's not that funny to me. Low-key admitting that Taco Shelton was Stephen Jones' pick. Oh, man. That was a funny moment. And unexpected, because it's not like this happened a long time ago. This was from 2017. And then Taco Charlton replied with the gif of this guy that's lying down, wiping away his tears with dollar bills. So that was funny as well. What is up, Robert? Chuck, let's get this one started, guys. Here we go. What is up, everyone? Welcome to ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. I'm Mauricio Rodríguez, streaming with you live every Sunday through Thursday night here on Dallas On Demand Sports Talk Network. Primetime, as always, brought to you by our friends over at freemanmazda.net. We'll talk more about them on the ride of the week in a few moments here on the show. It is Tuesday. We're 2 days away from the NFL Draft, which is why we'll talk about our biggest gut feelings as we head into Thursday, into the first round of the NFL Draft. And actually, that's the starting question for the show. Just let's open it up on YouTube and Facebook. And while you smash the like button, also drop your biggest gut feeling for the Cowboys' 24th overall pick, or the NFL Draft in general. We can also open it up that way. What is your biggest gut feeling as we are 2 days away from the NFL Draft? I will share 3 of mine with you guys tonight on the show. And tomorrow night, by the way, big announcement. We have The Athletic's Bob Sturm joining the show. Great conversation with Bob. We talked about the 24th overall pick. We talked about Zion Johnson versus Kenyon Green, the wide receivers whose name would be on the card if it was up to Bob Sturm to make the pick at the 24th. So it was a great conversation. I cannot wait to share it with you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central. But here we go. Give me your gut feelings for the Cowboys' 24th overall pick. Michael says offensive lineman will be taken or wide receiver. And that's the biggest one for me. I think that the most likely pick for Dallas is an offensive guard. Whether it's Kenyon Green or Zion Johnson, I think based on who I expect to be available at 24th and what the Cowboys' preferences could be, I'm guessing an offensive guard. And we talked about this in length last night when we put together the one and only mock draft from my own in this whole process. And I had the Cowboys taking Kenyon Green at 24th. Now, I know there are still some concerns regarding Green's knees. I don't know. I'm taking those news with a bit of a grain of salt, because Daniel Jeremiah did say that that Kenyon Green could fall out of the first round because of some concerns with his knees. But he didn't even say it like it was this huge deal. Like the topic of that conversation wasn't even the health status of Kenyon Green. Daniel Jeremiah mentioned that he had the Bucs could possibly take Kenyon Green because they wouldn't be super concerned about long-term issues with Kenyon Green, which is another important point about this conversation. Kenyon Green's knee concerns are not apparently, based on what Daniel Jeremiah said, about him being ready to go. It's more about a long-term concern. Now, we'll see if Kenyon Green falls or not, but I'm just not ready to throw what we have talked about for months and months out of the window just because something Jeremiah mentioned, like not even as the central topic of what he was saying. So I thought that was pretty interesting. We'll see what will happen. But that's my biggest gut feelings. Let's see some of yours right now here on Facebook and YouTube. What is up, Kenneth? Kenneth, I see your one comment that says, because Kenneth is asking if I blocked him because I couldn't see his texts. But that's the one that I can see. I cannot find another one, Kenneth. So sorry about that. Maybe I missed it. But shout out to Kenneth, always tuning into ADC Sports, Dallas Primetime. Let's see. Alpha says, best player available at a position of need. That's a optimistic gut feeling there, I would say. Lumen just trying to light the chat on fire. And I can see it from his emoji. Reader at the 24th pick. Oh, man, he just wants to start the debate. I see what you're doing. Toxic Tom says, my gut feeling, man, we need a win this offseason because it's been brutal. Defense is my gut, says Bruce got the toxic use, unexpected. Robert says, trade up and grab a cornerback. That could be the case if an unexpected cornerback starts falling like Derek Stingley and or Trent McDuffie, because I think that the most likely or the least likely to fall is Sauce Gardner, right? Because I can see the scenario in which Derek Stingley is taken before the Cincinnati cornerback, but I can see the scenario why McDuffie falls, why Stingley falls. I'm not sure that I see that with Ahmad Gardner from Cincinnati. There doesn't seem to be a big enough question mark for him to fall in this process. But hey, Cowboys Nation would be pretty happy with a scenario in which they trade up and take a cornerback, because unless it's super expensive, right? Need to pick O-line on the 24th pick. JJ Vargas says trade back, a lot of meat with the 24th pick. Anyways, there should be a drinking game for as much as he mentions it, says. Now you know it and I know it, says Bruce. All right. I heard Stephen Jones name his first kid cap space. All right, so that's my number one gut feeling. I just think that the Cowboys will be at a point in which offensive line makes the most sense to them, and I think it will come down to Zion Johnson or Kenyon Green. But I can also see a lot of other possibilities for the Cowboys. And this gets me to my number 2 gut feeling. And it is that I think that if he is there, and that's a big if, but if he's there, I don't see the Cowboys passing on Treylon Burks. I think that if the Arkansas Razorback is still available when the Cowboys are on the clock at 24th, I think they're not passing on him. I think they're betting on the wide receiver. Now, no inside information or anything like that. Again, we're just discussing gut feelings. The question for you guys in the chat is, are you for or against Treylon Burks? And while you give me your answers, and before I tell you mine, let me talk to you about our friends over at freemanmazda.net, because the ride of the week, ladies and gentlemen, is the Mazda CX-9, the 2022 Mazda CX-9 Touring, starting at just $39,050. You can get it with Apple CarPlay / Android Auto. Great feature to have, in my opinion, game-changing feature. Third row seating, perfect for families. Adaptive cruise control, very cool feature. You can check that out over at the freemanmazda.net website. All-wheel drive, rain-sensing wipers. You can check that out and much more on freemanmazda.net, a family-owned business for over 65 years. You can check out the wide range of new Mazda vehicles, again, at freemanmazda.net. Let's see some of your answers here. Let's see if Cowboys Nation, or at least those who watch Primetime, are for or against Treylon Burks. Robert says, I agree. If we stay put, it's wide receiver. And to me, the biggest question is, will there be a wide receiver? And to me, if Treylon Burks is there, you could argue he would be BPA. You could argue he would be the best player available. Against, says Gregory. Toxic Tom says, hard to answer that question without context, to be honest. So let's give it a little bit of context. Let's say that there is no clear steal. There's not a CeeDee Lamb in there, for example. And the guards are still there. Kenyon Green and Zion Johnson. Olave is taken. Maybe Treylon Burks is the last wide receiver available between those who are surefire first rounders. So that wouldn't include, to me, Dotson, Sky Moore, and those guys. But I'm talking about a scenario in which Kenyon Green is there. Zion Johnson is there. One of my biggest gut feelings is that if Treylon Burks is there too, I don't see the Cowboys passing on him. Now, let me tell you something. I don't make the connection with Arkansas. I think even for the Cowboys, that wouldn't make a lot of sense. I wouldn't expect Dallas to take Treylon Burks because of the Arkansas connection with Jerry Jones. I have seen some suggest that around Cowboys Nation. Maybe I'm being optimistic, but I think that even for this front office, that it would be low. I don't see that as the driving force behind this gut feeling. But the Cowboys, I do believe, they're all in on offense. Even after they finished top 3 in EPA per play defensively, I think that what they want to bet on is their offense. Now, that might sound ironic without Amari Cooper, without Lyle Collins, and I understand that. I didn't like those moves either. But if there is a chance to take who could be an immediate contributor on offense as a slot wide receiver with the potential to grow as a number 1 X receiver that has a big catch radius, that can win vertically, that can play outside and inside, I do not see Dallas going elsewhere if he is there. Skywalker still says, Mo with the Johnny Bravo cut. I see you. What's up, Sky? This is not a Johnny Bravo cut, is it? Shout out to Sky. Thank you for being here. Our man Sky, that by the way was on 105.3 The Fan over the weekend. That was insane. Congratulations to Sky. I, of course, had already congratulated him via message, but I had forgotten to mention that on the show. Shout out to Skywalker still putting ADC Sports Dallas on the map. Robert says, Burks will be Devo 2.0. Listen, You guys know that although we watch a little bit of tape here and there, we're not draft nerds or draft nuts that will dive into the tape, reach valuations, and say, this is the number 18th prospect on the list, right? I don't put together a top 50, a top 100, anything like that. But I do know that it seems to me that half of the draft Twitter compares Treylon Burks to Deebo Samuel, and then the other half compares him to Dez Bryant. And I've talked about this before briefly on the show, but it seems to me that the Cowboys have an ex-receiver in Michael Gallup and a number one wide receiver in CeeDee Lamb that you could argue could dominate in the slot. Like some of these number one wide receivers around the league that have actually led the NFL in routes run out of the slot, like Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. Having someone like Treylon Burks that I feel he can do a little bit of both, being an ex-receiver and a power slot, I like that versatility. And I would love the ability for the Cowboys to pick and choose their favorite matchups week to week. Now, I know that for some, the main concern could be, would Kellen Moore use them in the proper way? And I see where that's coming from. But that's not the mentality that the Cowboys will have in their draft process. That will not be it, even if it's on the minds of Cowboys Nation. Jerry Jones not going to sit there in the war room and hesitate to hand in the Treylon Burks card because they don't know if Kellen Moore will use him the right way, because they have faith in Kellen Moore. And I still believe there are some aspects to Kellen Moore that we can put some stock on and maybe just believe and hope for the best in 2022, even as frustrating as the second half of the season was. So yeah, you're getting Dez or Deebo. Where do I sign? Says Toxic Tom. Exactly. That's how I feel about Treylon Burks. That's why my number 2 gut feeling for the Cowboys is, if Treylon Burks is there, I don't see them passing on him. But then again, I think that guard is the most likely, because I don't think Burks makes it to 24th. But this draft is so unpredictable that you cannot rule anything out. And that includes the fact that you cannot rule out the possibility of the Cowboys being wiped out. I think that's an unlikely scenario, because to me, a wipeout would maybe look like no guards are there, which seems super unlikely to me. That Olave, Burks, London, Garrett Wilson, of course, and Jameson Williams are off the board as well. So maybe you're in that range in which you're talking about the Dotsons, the Moores, guys that you're not entirely sure about in the first round. And I don't know if we should include Tyler Linderbaum, the defensive tackles out of Georgia, that I know that Cowboys Nation is super high in this Georgia defensive tackles, but I'm not sure that the NFL is as well. And the same for Nakobe Dean. So for the wipeout, I would stick with no guards and no wide receivers. That again, that seems unlikely to me. But we have explored those scenarios because the question for a lot of people has been, if the board is wiped out, do you trade back? And I'm here to tell you that my number 3 gut feeling is that even if that's the case, I'm betting on the Cowboys to stick at 24th and take an edge rusher instead of trading back. Because that end of the first round / start of the second will include likely a run at edge rushers. And I'm not talking about Carl Aftis or those guys. I'm talking about Arnold Ebiketie. I'm talking about Boye Mafe. I'm talking about Logan Hall. I can see the Cowboys settling for an edge rusher instead of trading back at 24th, because we need to also keep in mind that teams are not aiming to trade up, apparently, in this NFL draft. That's my number 3 gut feeling on this. Let's see some of your comments here in the show. Samuel Rose says, if we get Jordan Davis, I'm going back to church. Now, I will not lie. I'm also not sure if Jordan Davis is there. I'm not sure if the Cowboys take him. I know Cowboys Nation is high on Davis, but it seems looking at a lot of these mock drafts and talent evaluators talk about Jordan Davis, not all of them are super high on him. Like take Daniel Jeremiah, for example. For him, he is a top 15 prospect. For Dane Brugler, he's outside of the top 20. I think he's actually at what, 24th, if I'm not mistaken. He's ranked lower than Devontae Wyatt is, for example. But I would love Jordan Davis on this team. I would definitely love him. Let's see some of your comments here. Joey Bella says, we need that as well. What is up, Uncle Charles? Thank you for tuning in to the show. Michael says, trade all the way out of the first round, if that's the case, and pick up an additional second and third round pick. Could be a quantity over quality if you're wiped out, right? Quay Walker is his sleeper also, says Chris Graham. Toxic Tom says, Mo, I don't think you or Kellen Moore have ever shaved in your lives. You know, you might not be wrong, to be honest, Toxic Tom. I feel like that sometimes as well. Joe says, if we can get Trey McBride from Colorado State in the fourth round, ooh, that sounds optimistic, Joe. He's a nasty dog and a great blocker to help Dak in the passing game. I'm not even sure if you can get him at 88 with Trey McBride. For a lot of people, that's tight end 1. And it's not a great class for tight ends, so maybe he can drop. That would be exciting. Now, here we have a comment that says, Daniel Jeremiah was a Brown scout, LOL. Hey, we're not going to hate on Daniel Jeremiah, who has been an authority for a while now in the NFL draft, because if we're doubting Jeremiah, then we are doing something wrong, I would say. Asmodeo says, Rodriguez and Steele, two baby-faced brothers who are always bringing the hit under the banner of ADC Sports. Man, yeah, Sky also has that baby face, right? I wonder if Sky looks like he's my age, and then I look like even 10 years younger, maybe. I feel like someone good. I couldn't believe when Sky told me his age. I really couldn't believe it. I thought he was way younger. I legitimately thought that he was closer to my age. I feel like someone good is going to be there at 24th, says T. Zila. It's hard to imagine Cowboys would be wiped out at 24, in my opinion. I agree with that. I also agree with that. I think that wipeout scenario sounds pretty unlikely, to be honest. But those are my top 3 gut feelings. Some of them could be the ones that we've mentioned in between them. You know, we've talked about the Jordan Davis situation. Will he be there or not? And if he is, would the Cowboys be really passing on a quote-unquote steal if they don't take him? Because I have the idea that they might be comfortable passing on Davis. They only have 15 first-round picks on their big board, says Nicholas. Yeah, Stephen, if I'm not mistaken, was the one that said this on the morning presser. He said 14 to 16 first-rounders, which is lower than usual. And that's not new. I mean, for the Cowboys, of course, it is. It's the first time that we've heard about that. But this fits with what we have seen across the league. People are not very excited about the top-end talent of this draft class. People are more excited about the second and third round more than anything. And there have been people like Daniel Jeremiah that have said guys will be taken in the first round that have third-round grades in some of these boards. And I think that's a complicated idea to maybe get behind, that we as fans just look at these lists and think, oh yeah, there would be positional value there, but we cannot overlook the fact that each team has a different evaluation method, and maybe they like one of these defensive tackles, but they don't like the other one. and they would only take one if one of them is there, right? Or with the wide receivers is the same thing. There are some teams that might need a wide receiver that they might be comfortable taking Olave, Wilson, some of these guys, but not Treylon Burks. And that's how you get these domino effects in which players start to fall in the draft process as well. They better get rid of Zeke before Pollard, or I'm joining you after all these years of failure, says Joey. Well, don't count on any of those happening in 2022. Mo, are you Benjamin Button? Says Army Mom Heather. No, I love weed in Army Mom Heather. It's a babyface conspiracy at ADC Dallas between y'all, says Bruce. Hey, could very well be the case. Could very well be the case. So anyways, guys, tomorrow night, we will keep tonight on the shorter side of things, because tomorrow night, we have a big show in store for you guys. The Athletic's Bob Stern, to me, the best Cowboy football columnist out there working for The Athletic, puts together his weekly series of the morning after during the season. He will be joining the show tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central, to talk about the Cowboys' 24th overall pick. And, talking with Bob, great experience in which you just learn hearing him discuss the Cowboys. So that will be a fun show. Make sure you check that out tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central. It will stream live, but I will not be really live there because a little bit of personal news. I have mentioned this before on the show, but tomorrow night I will sign my college degree. They will not hand it to me yet, which is maybe somewhat weird, but it's kind of this pre-graduation event in which you sign the degree, and I'm ready to get it done. So, hey, I'll enjoy it while you enjoy the Bob Stern conversation. Make sure that you hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me tonight on ADC Sports Dallas Primetime. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. Thank you to Robert, to my man over here at the YouTube chat. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central. We are 2 sleeps away, unless you do naps, for the NFL draft. So I'm excited about this one. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Toxic Tom says, Mo, the first step of being an adult is sacrifice. So see you live. You will get the live red button in your screen, so don't worry about that. Thank you, guys.